Welcome to Irresistible You, Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. I am your host, Karen Seltz, also known as the Uncensored Self-Love Coach. If you are brand new to me, there are really only three things you need to know. First thing is, if you have a deeper calling inside your heart and there's something that's been holding you back, know that I have been there. I feel you, and I'm still on my journey. I keep discovering new things every single day. The second thing that you need to know about me is that I consider my greatest superpower to be that of being a divine mirror. What I mean by that is I see people through the eyes of the divine God, universe, whatever you want to call it. And I reflect it back to them until they're able to see it for themselves. And they're like, oh my gosh, I finally see it. And that is an exciting day for me, my friends. The third thing that you need to know is that I am uncensored in my approach. As you might have guessed from my title, I am willing to go wherever I'm called to go. I'm willing to say whatever I'm called to say, and I'm willing to do whatever I am called to do in order to make a difference for you. So thank you for joining. This episode is really fun. It's entitled The 5 Steps to Getting What You Really Want. So if you've been in your life wishing and hoping and praying for things to be different and nothing ever shifts, and you are ready for some actionable steps that you can take right now, this is the episode for you. It wasn't that long ago that I remember finding this card, and it was an index card, like, a 3x5 card, in a drawer that I never used. It was like where I put old jewelry that I never wore. As you can see, I'm not a fan of the jewelry. And this card said, I am an inspirational public speaker. And I had written it 20 years before I found it. And in that moment, like, my heart sunk and I started to go into that cycle of self-beat up. Like, Karen, you haven't done a single thing toward this dream. You stuck it in a drawer. And that's where it has stayed for 20 years. And really all I wanted was to make a difference. And I got stuck in analysis paralysis and I had no idea where to start. And so I did nothing. And then the voices came in like, what do you think you have to share that would be beneficial to somebody? So all that stuff, like the self-sabotage, the perfectionism, all that stuff got me stuck. And what I'm here to tell you is I have broken through this, and I continue to break through it as I set stretchier and, like, loftier goals. This still comes up where I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know if I can do it. And then I might get stuck for a day or an hour or something, but not for 20 years. So hold on to your hats. I am wanting to share all my steps with you right now. So step number 1, decide what you want. Yes, I wanted to be an inspirational public speaker. What I did not do was the second part of that, which is why? Why is it important to me? Why do you want what you want? There's a great TED Talk by Simon Sinek, and it talks about how great leaders inspire. And they start with the why. So when you know why something is important to you, it has meat to it. It has some juice. And until you know that, there's really no motivation. And the second the inner critic comes in and starts talking you out of it, you're going to say, yeah, you're right. You're right. But if you have your why, like, deeply rooted in your body, you will have some chops. So when stuff comes up and, like, knocks you out, you'll be like, whatever, I got this. I got this. So my invitation for you is to go into inquiry. Say, okay, well, why do I want that? And then imagine, because it's usually not the thing that we want. Is it really speaking that I wanted? No, I wanted the result of that. I wanted to look into women's eyes. I wanted to see what happened for them when they implemented steps that I taught them and made sustainable changes in their lives. I wanted to see their faces. I wanted to feel that, like, what would it feel like to make an impact in somebody's life, to change their lives forever? That was what was important to me. not the being on stage or whatever. It wasn't the fame. It wasn't any of that. It was making an impact for me. So I invite you to go deep, like why? Why do I want that? And keep going. I like to go at least 7 layers deep because you'll start with something surface. So a lot of people say, well, I want to make $100,000 or some random amount of money. Well, what would that do for you? What would that change in your life? What would be different than what you have now? And what do you want to feel and experience? So when you go into those feelings, we're going to come back to that later, that becomes the magnet. Remember that word, the magnet, for drawing that thing to you. So step number 1 is decide what you want and why you want it. How do you want to feel? Step number 2, this is fun. Make a declaration. I'm going to share my screen. So a declaration must include 3 things. Number 1, it gets to be something that would not have happened anyway. So declaring that I'm going to increase my business by 10% this quarter may or may not have happened for a lot of people. If you're an entrepreneur, that would be something like, oh, I was going to do that anyway. I already had a plan. But what if you said a declaration of this quarter, I'm going to double my profits? Now that's stretchy. That never would have happened if you hadn't have declared it. And I love this. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I love this thing. When we make a declaration, the universe conspires with us. And the word conspire in Latin means to breathe with. And I absolutely love that. I love that concept that the universe breathes with us. It breathes life into our vision. So make a declaration. That's where everything starts. The second thing is it must inspire you. It's got to light you up. When you say it, you got to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to puke. And I'm so excited. Both of those things get to be present. You get to be lit up. It gets to be inspiring. And it gets to be stretchy. Now, what does stretchy mean? It means that it's not something you normally do. It gets to get you outside of your comfort zone. Because guess what? Everything you have is already in your comfort zone, and everything you want is outside of it. So we get to stretch, we get to be uncomfortable, we get to reinvent ourselves again and again and again. And when we fall down, we get to get up and say, well, that didn't work. Let's try something else. And it goes back to your vision and your why. So when you fall down, not if, but when, you go back to your why. Okay, why is this important to me? Because the declaration gets to be filled with your intention. From that place, your intention sends out an electromagnetic signal to the universe. So when you set an intention and you make a declaration, the universe is like, oh, I'm listening. The third thing a declaration must include is it must accomplish the extraordinary, not the ordinary. So it gets to be like way outside of your comfort zone, way outside. What would light you up? What will be extraordinary for you? Not anybody else, but for you. It also gets to include an exactly, the more detail, the better. The universe loves specificity. I said it. That's like I don't know, at least $1 million word, right? That's a good word. It loves specifics, details, exactly what are you declaring and by when? By when? What's the date? So if you don't put a date on it, it's just out there. It's just floating in the ethers, and it may or may not happen. It may happen someday. And when you put a date on it and you do what the next step is, it will happen. Which brings us to the third step, and it is close the back door, nail the sucker shut. What I mean by that is a lot of times people will make a declaration, it's stretchy, it makes them super uncomfortable. And then these voices start, well, if it doesn't work out, we can always do this. We can, well, if it doesn't work out, it's okay. Or we sabotage ourselves. So anytime we have a plan B, that's a backdoor. So when you catch yourself, when you catch yourself in these conversations of a plan B, you get to ex-nay it. You get to go right back to step one, which is your vision and your why. Why? The backdoor is really a fascinating concept. We can find them in so many different places. And there's a quote by a transformational leader that I love and adore and work with. Her name is Lisa Kelman. And she says, 99% is a bitch, 100% is easy. Now, some of you might understand this more if you've ever been in a marriage that's rocky and you start thinking, well, gosh, if things don't get better, I could go stay with my mom, or I could get a divorce, or, that guy at work is really paying a lot of attention to me. Maybe it would be better if I just left my husband and went with him because he would take better care of me, blah, 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 blah. Those are all backdoors. The moment you decide, you know what, I made a commitment. I love my husband. This is a rocky part, and I am committed to working through this no matter what it takes. So it starts with, again, your intention. If your intention is to work through it and to be and do whatever it takes to work through it, you close the back door, and suddenly you're noticing that you love these things about your husband. Like, oh my gosh, I remember why I fell in love with him. Look how cute he is. He took the garbage out when I was so tired and I didn't want to do it. He actually filled my car up with gas. And you start noticing other things. But when you have a back door, you'll say, like, that bastard, he left the seat up again, the toilet seat. I could have fallen in the middle of the night. Like, you notice everything, a sock on the floor, like all the little crap that can annoy the heck out of us, right? But if you don't have a back door, life is rosy. And here's a way to know for sure if you have a back door. If it is hard, if it is work, look behind you, because guess what? There's a back door that's open. It might be cracked, it might be wide open. You get to close it. Press the easy button. So when the door is closed, things will become much easier. You will be in a state of flow. Now, a lot of people that I work with are recovering perfectionists, and they're always like, a lot of times, I hate that word always, X on always. Oftentimes they're in their heads and they're thinking, well, how is this going to happen? I don't know how it's going to happen. I have to know how. I have to know what's going to come next. And they are in this like bleh. Analysis paralysis is what happens from that. Psychological assessment. They're in their heads. And here's the thing, the how is none of your business, which is going to seem contradictory to step 4. And I'm going to explain why. When we have a clear intention and we have the back door closed, steps will appear before us, one step at a time, and we get to take the next right step for us. That's it. And doors will open, and I don't know how it works. It just does. It just does. It's like magic, because the universe is conspiring with us. It's breathing life into our vision. So we don't have to do the heavy lifting anymore. Think about the air. It's like lifting us up and we're floating along. So step 4 is inspired action. Take inspired action. So back when I first started my business as an entrepreneur, I used to meditate, like, like do all the meditating, and I would pray and I'd be like, okay, God, bring me my clients. Nobody ever came. I don't know why. I sat in my house, I prayed, I meditated, I journaled, I did all my inner work. I don't know why nobody ever found me. I didn't have a single client, not one. Well, I skipped a step. And if you guys remember the movie The Secret, it was all about like, picturing what you wanted and manifesting. They skipped the part about taking inspired action. So there's a process that I teach my clients. It's very, very simple. Do you guys remember the old PSAs for when you're on fire? So when you're on fire, stop, drop, and roll, because people on fire would run. And then of course, oxygen would make them burn even more. So stop, drop, and roll. So when you're on fire, which could mean anything, like you're thinking crazy thoughts, your mind's going a million miles an hour, you are not accomplishing anything, you're living Groundhog's Day again and again and again. Stop, stop, notice it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm creating the same thing over and over again. Okay, take a breath, drop from here to here. You can't see that, but into your heart, from your head to your heart, just drop, drop. And I usually will pray or ask your higher self, ask your higher power, God, universe, source, what would you have me do? And listen, get quiet, listen. For me, the easiest way to hear is to actually write down my questions and to write the answers. And it takes practice sometimes it comes immediately. So, hey, be unattached. Okay, so stop, which is the noticing part, like, oh my gosh, I'm making myself crazy. Drop from your head to your heart. Listen, ask for guidance, and then roll with it. You get to take action. You get to do whatever you heard. What did the voice, which is you or God, universe, spirit, what did it say to do? Roll with it. Take inspired action. Do one thing, just one thing towards your vision. That's the inspired action. So when we are clear, when our conscious intention and our unconscious intention are in alignment, we will 100% create the result that we have declared. So here's where a lot of people get stuck. They say, well, I made this declaration, I've done these steps, and I'm not creating the result. There's two things. One will be the last step that I'm going to tell you in a minute. But the other one is check your motivation, because it could be an unconscious intention that's sabotaging you. Is there a reason that you might not want or believe you're worthy of the thing you declared? So you get to dig, and if you have trouble with this, find a friend that could be a sounding board and say, could you just like question me, get into inquiry with me, like why I might be sabotaging myself or why I might not really want this. Like some part of me is afraid of having it, or some part of me doesn't believe I'm worthy of having it. And once you get to that part, when you can uncover that and your conscious intention, which is what you say you want, and your unconscious intention are in alignment, which means they match, you will 100% create the result. The fifth step is super duper duper important. And it has taken me years to learn this, and I still practice it every single day. And it is to trust and surrender. You've done all the things. Now you get to trust the universe, and you get to get into completion energy, which means you see it done already and you believe that it is done. I'm a big follower of Dr. Joe Dispenza. He talks about the quantum field, quantum physics, and the quickest way to manifest anything is in the quantum, because in the quantum field, there is no time. There's lots of space, but no time. And we get to send out a clear intention, which is that signal. It's the electromagnetic signal. And then we elevate our emotion to match how we will feel once our declaration has been manifested. So for me, like, let's go back to the public speaking, inspirational public speaking example. When I am inspiring women to live their lives differently, to be seen and heard, and to go for their dreams, how will I feel? Well, I'll be passionate as hell. I'll be excited. I'll be exuberant. I'll be joyful. I'll feel powerful. I'll feel courageous. I'll feel unstoppable. So I get to get myself into that state, however it works. So sometimes I'll use meditation. Sometimes I'll dance. Sometimes I skip. I love skipping. It's like the best kept secret ever. Skipping, try it. It's really fun. You can skip while saying a mantra like, I am powerful, I am abundant, I am courageous, whatever it is. Try it. It's super fun and it gets it into your body really, really quickly. Number one cure for depression I've ever discovered. Yes, that's a side note. But what do you want? So when you get into that place where you are sending out a very clear, detailed instruction, which is your intention, your declaration to the universe, you get yourself in that emotional state, you're like ready to receive, you're grateful. Gratitude, yes. Gratitude is the signature that it's already done. It's signaling, okay, it's already done because I'm grateful. Why would I be grateful if it wasn't done? So that's the number one emotion that you want to get to. So practice gratitude every day. Practice how you will feel. How will you walk? How will you stand? How will you speak? What will your thoughts be? What will your behaviors be? What will you do with your abundance when you receive it? Practice all those thoughts on a regular basis. And the way that that works in the mind, as far as manifesting goes, it's okay to have these little thoughts that come in and say, oh my gosh, you're not worth it. It's not going to happen. The way it works is a thought that is held in the mind will create your reality. That becomes like a pebble you drop in a pond that creates ripple, 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 ripple. So what kind of pebbles are you dropping into the pond of your awareness? Those are what you want to pay attention to, because those will create your tomorrows. So when you don't have what you want today, look back like, okay, what kind of pebbles did I drop into the pond of my awareness or into my mind last week or yesterday or last month? Because whatever you're experiencing right now today, you created it by thinking certain thoughts, feeling certain feelings sometime in the past. So the good news about that is you can create whatever you want by choosing different thoughts, choosing different emotions. I love it so much. This gets me really excited. You might be able to tell. So I'll leave you with that part. And I also want to tell you that I have been thinking, like, what can I offer to the people that have decided to take time out of their busy days to watch this show? And what I've come up with is a free possibilities call with me. And the reason I'm offering that is oftentimes the women that come to me or that I work with, they're recovering perfectionists, or they have very, very active inner critics. I don't know if you can relate to that. And they want to lower the volume on the inner critic. They want to be free. They want to express themselves. They want to be heard. They want to go for life. They want to create lives worth living. And they get stuck in analysis paralysis, or they're defeated before they even start. So what we'll do on this call is we will open up possibilities. We'll do exactly this. We'll just say, what do you want? What do you want? Why is that important to you? What's been holding you back? And we'll create a plan to help you get there. And as you can tell, it'll be really fun. So if that is you I'm talking to, if you've been holding yourself back, if you're ready to follow the calling that's in your heart, I invite you to book a call with me. Just go to connectwithkaren.us. That's connectwithkaren.us. And it's Karen. And it'll take you directly to my personal calendar, and we'll hop on a call within the next few days, and we will go deep as you're ready to go, and decide what you want. We'll get you a plan to get there. So it's connectwithkaren.us. Thank you so much for watching Irresistible You, Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. I will see you next time right here. Bye.